Show me the how of it all. There's a way of aerodynamics. Show me the way. Teach me how aerodynamics works. Teach me how you do things, God. Teach me your principles. Teach me your way. Show me now your way, that I may know you, experience you, so that I can cooperate with you. If I know how you do things, then I can cooperate with you. And that I may find grace in your sight. And consider that this nation is your people. Don't give them to me. I didn't ask for the job. They're your people. They're not my people. They're your people. He was a very wise man. And God said, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Then Moses said to God, then he said to him, if your presence does not go with us, do not bring us up from here. They were on a journey, tremendous journey. It was God's idea to rescue all of his people who were slaves and had been slaves for over 3 centuries. After the Pharaoh that knew Joseph died, they went into slavery. So it was sometime around about a bit over 3 centuries. It was a long time to be slaves. Nobody living could remember anybody who hadn't been a slave. The slave mentality was handed down till it was thoroughly embedded in their human psyche or being. It was God's dream that he would take this impossible task, for it was impossible, and he'd lift this people into freedom and take them on a journey, a faith journey, to the promised land, and then give it to them. You and I too are on a journey. This place is God's dream. It's not a person's dream or a group of our dream. This is God's dream. And we are caught up in God's dream. You are here because of God's dream, and I'm here because of God's dream. It wasn't my idea to start this church. It was his idea. And God's dream is that our destination will be to see Australia turned around. Will we have to do it all? No, we won't. I think we'll be the nucleus of something, and there'd be other nucleuses around Australia too. I'm not suggesting we're the only ones, but we certainly are one of them. And out of these nucleuses, in things like School of the Spirit and Pastors and Leaders Conference and meetings I have with pastors quite regularly in different places, there's going to, a fire will be built and it will be caught. And if I've heard God aright, people will come here when God starts to really move. We're at the beginnings of it now. But as his Spirit is poured out mightily upon us all, that people will come and catch the glory of God and take it back to their community, and it'll spread and spread and spread across this land and the islands of the sea. There will be an enormous move of the Holy Ghost. It is bigger than all of us put together. The journey we're on is God's journey. And we are fortunate enough to be caught up in something that God is doing. And so it behoves us to walk very carefully. For don't touch the thing that God is doing. Let God be God. Let the Spirit of God be amongst us. And as your pastor, I'm so honored that so many of you come of a Tuesday night to pray. Over 100 of us. Just to worship and to pray. And that's the powerhouse that will carry us into the very glory of God. We'll see the magnificence of God displayed amongst us in awesome power and wonderful miracles and signs and wonders. There'll be absolutely. What is our destination? I believe in my heart or my spirit, out of the communication I felt that God has given to me, that our destination will be a tremendous manifest presence of the living God. And that presence of God will come over great numbers of people that meet together in the future amongst us here. And the numbers will just grow. But that presence will be so magnificent. Many of us here have felt the presence of God strongly from time to time. I was talking to David here this morning, and he was telling me how the presence of God filled his car the other night. And he couldn't get to sleep through the night for a long time because the presence was overwhelming. And I've felt that presence. I'm sure Ron has. I'm sure Darrell has. I'm sure Ken has. I'm sure a heap of us here have. Hundreds of us have felt that presence come over us. And if you've never really, truly felt the magnificent presence of God come over you, let me tell you, it changes you into another person. When it comes over me, I can feel my mind change. I can feel my whole being change. But that's as it affects me. It doesn't have to affect you like that. But I feel, no matter what I was feeling before, when that presence comes over, when the Holy Ghost has come upon you, that my whole being electrifies, that I'm a different person. I'm under the influence of a greater person than I am. And that's the presence. The presence of God is the most magnificent thing. It is wonderful. What will it do? Why, it changes you. It changes your character. It changes your desires. I'll guarantee, David, that the last night or the night before, whenever it was, that experience you had that you told me about, I'll guarantee there was no sinful thoughts within 20 miles of you. I'll guarantee you didn't have to struggle to pray. You wouldn't have had to struggle to do anything that was godly. You would have just felt like you could float on air, because that's what it does to you. And when this presence comes in awesome magnitude, thousands of people will come under it, and I see it regularly like this as I'm praying. See it like a translucent cloud coming down over people, going through their beings, and all the rubbish just being taken out of human lives. And I see it happening, thousands of people at a time. All the pride and the arrogance, the insecurity, the violence, everything else just being subdued under the presence of the living God. And things that people have struggled with for years will just disappear. Like, I don't know David, I don't know that he has any struggles. But I'll guarantee if he did have struggles, as that presence came over you, they disappeared. Because I know what it does to me. It just takes them away. Do you become perfect? Well, no, I suppose not. But at that period of time, you're not conscious of any sin either. It's just you're transformed. You and I were made by God, for God, to be a habitation of the Spirit of God, and to be filled with His presence, and not to be filled with self-centeredness.